Hello and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about my thoughts on Qobuz since I've recently been using it for the past few days. Now, why did I even decide to switch over to Qobuz? And I say switch over in kind of quotation marks because I'm not fully convinced to go over yet, but it is pretty good, but there are some pretty major flaws I have as well with it, which we'll get into later. But first, I'll talk about why I've even decided to do this, and that's mainly because I have been a long-time Apple Music user, and I've really enjoyed it, even on my Android device. But the problem is, well, for one, the desktop app sucks ass, and two, for some reason, it just kind of does not work with lossless streaming, at least in my experience. I've searched this up on Reddit, and it seems like some other people have this experience as well, where sometimes, kind of rarely, but sometimes, it will just randomly skip like a few hundred milliseconds in a track. And that is incredibly annoying, especially for an album that I'm like, I know the ins and outs of, so it's really jarring to just all of a sudden completely skip like a little portion of the track. It's just really annoying. But what's even more annoying is that sometimes it will also decide to completely skip an entire track, which is really bad, especially on wired IEMs where you have to, bring out your entire fucking phone just to go back to the previous track you were listening to before. Like, it's annoying. And if those issues didn't exist, I would not be even considering going to a different streaming service because I really do love Apple Music. I want to stress this because it is a really, really good streaming service, and I really do like it. I found a lot of really good albums and artists from that like related section under like some albums that I've seen, and I just like the interface. It's clean, it's nice. I mean, I have a Mac as well, so that does help. And you also get Apple TV with like the student plan, which is really cool. So again, there's like all of the things I have to say about it are positive besides just the lossless streaming. And I also love the fact that you can delete songs from an album individually. Like, I think a problem with a lot of other streaming services that basically no other streaming service has adopted is the ability to delete bonus tracks or just tracks that you don't want on an album, instead of just making an entirely new playlist just for one singular album with the correct track list. Like, it's annoying to have to do that like every single time. Meanwhile, again, on Apple Music, I could just delete the songs from my library from a specific album if it has bonus tracks tacked onto the end that I do not want, which unfortunately a lot of the time it does. And unfortunately, again, I can't remedy this issue on Qobuz or Tidal or any other streaming service besides Apple Music without making an entirely new playlist just for one singular album, which again is pretty damn annoying. And that is a major gripe I have with basically every other streaming service. But I think the biggest gripe I have with Qobuz, honestly, is for one, the lack of selection, especially when it comes to foreign music, like Japanese music. I listen to a lot of Japanese artists, and I love the selection that Apple Music has. Like, they have like basically almost every Japanese artist you can want under the sun. Meanwhile, Qobuz is the exact opposite. They barely have any. They have the popular ones, but even if they do have the popular ones, a lot of the time they still don't have their entire discography. I mean, a big example of this is the Pillows. I mean, they're not super popular, and sad that they broke up. I made a video about that before, but yeah, they don't have their entire discography on any other streaming platform besides Apple Music, which was a major reason why I got Apple Music, just to listen to the rest of the discography. And I really like it. And it sucks having to miss out on that again by switching to a different music streaming service. But I don't know, it might be a necessary evil just to combat the stupid ass, like, I don't know, just weird skipping shit that's been going on with lossless on Apple Music. If I don't download the album. Like, if I download the album, it completely remedies this issue, to my knowledge, and I've like tested this, and it seems like it doesn't have that issue once I download the album. But again, I don't want to have to do that every single time I want to listen to an album losslessly. Like, let me losslessly stream an album without having to download it, because it's a lot of storage, man. It's not fun. But yeah. Now let's get into probably the biggest flaw I have with Qobuz is not only do they just not have that big of a selection, but sometimes they will just straight up let anybody upload anything onto any profile. A big example of this is Toe, the Japanese math rock band that's sort of popular. They're sort of underground. They're not super popular to my knowledge, but they're decently popular, especially in like math rock scenes and the math rock scene. But again, they just straight up have like wrong singles under their like singles and EP section. They just those aren't the correct singles. I think that's like if you look under their profile on Qobuz, it's just straight up AIR, and to my knowledge, they have definitely not, used AIR in their singles. They have not released like a fuck ton of singles in this year alone. Like, yes, they released a new album this year, but a lot of these singles were from last year when they didn't release an album. So again, it doesn't really make sense why there's a fuck ton of AI generated single art for a band that is a math rock band. Like, it just doesn't really make sense. So again, they really do need to sort out like what is the actual artist and what is just an impersonator trying to be like them. I've also found like several impersonators, like several like copies of an album from a different artist, just trying to, I think, just make people get confused and click on their album instead of the actual real one. So again, I think that shit needs to get sorted out like immediately, because that is really annoying. And again, I've really not encountered this issue on Apple Music. I know it may sound like I'm glazing Apple Music, and I kind of am, but it's because they at least have a little bit of quality control when it comes to the stuff they put on their fucking platform. At least a little bit, so they don't allow like fucking AI generated slop that just anybody can upload using DistroKid or whatever the fuck. And yeah, I really don't like that, this stuff just gets through, and it's annoying. But I think another big issue that I have with Qobuz in general is that a lot of the time they just straight up get the album dates wrong. Like, the release dates are just straight up wrong for a lot of artists. I mean, a big example of this is Bob Dylan. Because when I scroll down through his album discography, I don't see nearly all of his albums that should be there. For example, like Blonde on Blonde, Blood on the Tracks, like, really popular ones from him. But no, you have to scroll up to when they were actually maybe released on the streaming service, which was in like 2014 or 2012. But they aren't adjusted to when the album actually released. So you just are completely fucking confused and don't know where the fuck to look until you scroll back up and see, oh wait, there's only Blood on the Tracks and fucking Blonde on Blonde up here. Meanwhile, Highway 61 Revisited is all the way fucking down here. Like, it's just a hassle to add like a lot of different albums from a single artist's discography, because again, the album dates are a lot of the time just straight up incorrect. And this is sort of a problem I have with Tidal as well when I was using that, but it seems like they have, again, a little bit more quality control when it comes to actually fucking putting the correct date. So, yeah, that is basically it, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye.